Good morning and welcome to your Partner in Success Radio. I am your host, Denise Griffitts, and as always, I'm honored that you're spending part of your day with us. Today, my guest is Randy Chaffee, better known as the Road Warrior. It's going to be one of those mornings. And with over 40 years in the post frame and metal roofing industry, Randy leads Source One marketing, connecting top manufacturers with roll formers. I don't know what that is. He's going to probably tell me. Lumberyards and distributors throughout the Great Lakes and Northeast. And he is also the author of the best-selling book, Asphalt and Algorithms. Ben Gay and I have tried to say that three times fast. We can't do it. It's called Asphalt and Algorithms, a road warrior's playbook for winning in the hybrid sales arena. And this is where he shows sales pros how to blend old school relationship selling. Write that down. Old school relationship first selling with modern digital tools. Randy also hosts the Building Wins live stream that I listen to quite a bit and serves on several industry boards. And then what's where he shares real world strategies. Randy, did I mention my feet are cold for thriving in any economy? And we're going to unpack Randy's playbook for sales pros and entrepreneurs, relationship first habits, digital multipliers, and why thriving shows starts with showing up as your boldest self. And this episode of Your Partner in Success Radio is supported by Denise Griffitts. Yes, that would be me. And my co-host on the Closers Inner Circle podcast, the legendary Ben Gay III. We want you to know that we genuinely know, like, and trust Randy, and we're excited to share his hybrid road warrior wisdom. I don't know why I have to stumble over that, but it's a difficult sentence, isn't it, Randy? But it makes so much sense. And his stories from the road and his no fluff sales insights with you today. Randy, good morning. It's good to have you back on the show.
Good morning. I couldn't think of. I put it on my calendar like months ago when we talked about it. It's always great to chat with you and and our legendary friend Ben that you mentioned. So it's great. It's great to be back. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. I've got your book, and we talked about that the last time you were here, I think. But what I really wanted to kind of start with is kind of go back to where you started, the hybrid concept, and that was born during COVID. I remember that conversation.
It was one of those things, Denise, where as I used to not a hashtag or I brand myself now one of my multiple brands. I'm trying to stay on the run and hiding, so no, just kidding. But is the hashtag hybrid road warrior Randy? Used to be just the road warrior Randy, and I can say that way better than you, by the way.
Yeah,
I've
I
only done it.
struggle with it, and
I
I
know
don't
you
know
do. I
why.
noticed that. I was a little concerned, but we'll be all right.
Well, yeah,
But
thank you. I'm going to need some aspirin.
I hear you. Well, or socks, because I have
Oh,
socks here on my desk, by the way, if you need some. But
I
anyway,
probably do. I don't
I
own socks. I really don't. I don't like them.
I only own socks that have something crazy and cool on them. I have no, but we'll talk about socks when we get into branding a little bit. I've got them laying here just for you. But no, so Denise, like you said, I have 4+ decades in this crazy world, and it's really 50 years now because I'm kind like tomorrow I kind of turn a magical another age, which it's better than being dead, I guess, but it's kind of wild to be at a certain age. But anyway, not 80, so easy, but less than that by a lot, but still. Uh, so when I started in this crazy world, I learned way back lessons from my dad, right? And that's where this in the asphalt and algorithms comes from, and we can touch on that. But really, hybriding is to me is taking all that old school lessons that we all know is right, building relationships one step at a time, learning the people. And as Ben says so well, like, trust, and feel safe with, right? And I love that addition that he makes to that well-known statement. And so years and years and years of being on the road, the typical hybrid or not hybrid, but typical road warrior. I mean, hundreds of thousands, 100,000 miles a year, planes everywhere, airports, walking into hotel parking lots. Can't remember what car I'm driving because I've had 3 different rental cars that week. All those kind of things. And that's where I built my juice, man. That was what I loved, building relationships, one guy at a time, one gal at a time. The pizza pie lunches, the coffee and donuts in the morning, a brewski or two and a burger in the evening, all those kind of things. Uh, and I would have, we started branding, and my wife, the Dixie chick, did a lot of branding stuff for me and helped me with a lot of branding things to be kind of a self brander. And but I don't know that I would have changed what I did because I fell into like many people do. You always do what you always did, and always get what you always got, right? And but it was working. It was successful. But I always knew there's a better way. But talk about the silver lining in bad scenarios. When the big COVID came along, uh, it caused me to go instantly from 11, 12 weeks, 11 out of 12 weeks I was on the road. And I mean, I'm talking like getting home Friday evening or Monday morning or Saturday morning and back out Sunday evening or Monday morning. So it all of a sudden I'm thrown into this. What am I going to do? I
Yeah,
mean,
you were kind of grounded, weren't you?
I was. And the original, remember, Denise, it was, 2 weeks to get ahead of the curve thing, right? Which
Yeah,
we all believed at the time, which turned out to
I
be
didn't. I didn't like it.
inaccurate. I kind of felt deep down that was kind of some BS, but regardless, that's what I thought. You know what? A couple weeks, that's still a long time for a road warrior like myself. But I drink an extra cup of coffee and catch up on some things. But so Denise, what happened is all of a sudden I realized this is going to go a long time. And the one thing that I've believe and preach and talk about to anybody that'll listen is out of the 8.5 billion people with a B on planet Earth, there's one thing that I'm number one at, and that's being me. And nobody can touch me at that, right? You can't be me. I can't be you. And so that's that superpower, right? And but I can't develop that superpower if I'm not with you. So what am I going to do with this thing? And so I started out guesting on a couple podcasts, and I've never had any real issue with talking, so that was fun. I thought this is kind of cool and a way to be out there, share it out, let everybody know, hey, Randy's still out and about and around, and then developed the Building Wins Live podcast with Wes Wyatt, um, and to have our own podcast to be out there in front of the people. So if I can't be there today, you're going to still see me today somewhere, right? And I thought that might be a short term until we get through this thing. And as it turned out, I started really understanding the value of the digital virtual aspect of doing this, the force multiplying effect that brought to the table. Because if I'm traveling, like I travel multiple states, 10, 12 states, if on a good day and I plan things really, really well, I might see 4 or 5 people if I'm lucky. And then you jam in a phone call or two from the road when you're driving. Uh, but all of a sudden, it's like you can jump on a podcast, you can jump on whether hosting or guesting, you can do videos that you post on social media and TikTok and everywhere, and all of a sudden you're in front of thousands or tens of thousands or more people, right? Once they share it out and out and out and
Right.
out.
You're visible. Nobody can forget.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I started doing that. And so kind of fast forward a little bit, what happened is I started hearing two schools of thought. There was the old school, this is nuts. Everything you're doing is nuts, Randy. We're not going to do any of that kind of stuff. We're just going to wait till we go back to normal, whatever the hell
Or
that is.
bankrupt, which is,
Oh,
what's
which
going to come first.
exactly, exactly. And I go, okay, I call BS on that because what does normal mean, anyways? Normal is like right now, right? So if I never ate seafood, now I eat seafood. Seafood's kind of my normal meal, right? So normal's uh, perspective to your time or respective of your time or place. So I said I don't buy that. But then there's this other school of thought, Denise, that we're never going to do anything but virtual and digital again. Nobody's ever going to get on an airplane in Detroit and fly to Dallas, do a quick meeting in person, and fly back to Detroit. Never going to happen again. Everybody's going to sit in their shorts. maybe in front of a screen, maybe throw on a sport coat or maybe throw on a polo or depending on the type of meeting, and and pretend they're in the office, so to speak, right? Air quotes, and nobody's ever going to travel again. And I called real BS on that because I think in most industries, and especially in mine, and I will remind you, I will tell you what a roll former is in a minute because I remember you asked.
I wrote it
Uh,
down.
okay, I did too. But in my business, which is very rural oriented, uh, my customers are not in downtown New York City. They're, 30 miles out of Buffalo, right? It's a little more of a rural type, old school sort of person. So to not call on these people, to not build the relationships, to not shake hands and bro hug and go to their kid's softball game if I got nothing to do that evening, or fly in early to go to their kid's wedding or whatever. That's what built the brand of Randy. So I call BS on that. This industry is, even as a B2B, which is what I do, it's still P2P at the end of the day, every day. And so I called BS to both sides, and that's where the hybrid part of my concept, my tagline, and why I wrote the book Asphalt and Algorithms all really comes from is I thought there's an in between, which is called a hybrid, right? It comes back from my days on the farm growing up with my dad, and you hybrided seeds, right, to fit different clientele or not clientele, different client or climates, different soil types, different growing seasons. You take the good from this plant, and you take the good from this plant, you hybrid them together, and you come up with something that's better. And that was really the theory behind what I've been working on the last several years is taking all the old school stuff that works, all the relationship building that has to be. But how do I also use all the visibility equals opportunity? There's a chapter in my book that I wrote that's all about visibility equals opportunity. How do I use those as a force multiplier to be in front of more people every day and to spread the brand of Randy, which is what I want to do. So that's where I started down that road, Denise, is uh, kind of a had to, forced to. I guess I wasn't forced to because the reality is I could have did what a lot of people did, which is sit and wait until things change. But I wasn't willing to do that, and so now I really operate on a hybrid basis, which is you get Randy, but you get me in person, you get me on the phone, you get me doing a talk, you get
On
me on a
Zoom.
podcast, on Zoom, whatever.
Wow.
And so and a key to that I found, Denise, is that it's so important. I'm speaking to the choir here because is that you have to be the same person regardless of where you are. There's no video persona, and then there's no podcast persona, and there's no giving a talk at an event persona, and then there's the when I come into your office to see your persona, right? There's one persona, period. One, that's you. That's your brand, and you got to show up the same way anytime, every time, the exact same way. So that's the long version in a slightly shorter version because I talk a lot, but of how I got to what I'm doing right now and why I wrote the book. I mean, and there's some reasons about why I wrote the book, which if you're interested, I'll tell you because it's kind of an interesting story, but and an interesting story about the title also. But that's really the way we got there. But first, because I want to scratch this off my list because I'm a list guy. What is a roll former? A
Yeah,
roll
what
former.
is it? I was going to go look it up and I thought, no, I want to hear it from the expert.
Okay, so in the metal roofing world, a roll former is the machinery that's used to take flat coil stock painted. They run it through machines and they wrinkle it all up into some different profiles that comes out the other end, and that gets shipped out to a job site, and that's what ends up on your roof. So if you drive through your neighborhood and you see anybody with any kind of a metal roof, uh, it's made by a roll forming company, a metal manufacturer. They're a roll former. That's just kind of a generic name because that's what the machinery's called, are roll formers. But they're the people that actually manufacture the actual metal roofing that gets on your building or your house or your store or whatever the case may be. So um, it's kind of and it's an industry name because we name it we just call it the roll forming industry, which really is what it is. But Yeah, I've been messing around. I like to tell people sometimes we take so when you make metal roofing like that, you take coil, which is 5, 6, 8, 10, 20,000 pound coils pre-painted. You run through a machine and it's all smooth and beautiful when it comes off the coil. You run it through this machine with a bunch of rollers and it wrinkles it all up into some kind of a profile. So like I always tell people is we take something that's a certain cost, we wrinkle it all up and take it out the other end and we charge a whole lot more money for it. I mean, it's basically what we do.
That makes sense. I've wanted for the long, I'm in Southwest Louisiana. We have two seasons here, hot and hotter and hell.
Mm-hmm.
And half of that is the hurricane season. And I wanted a metal roof in the worst kind of way. And I drove around and I looked around. Nobody has them. So I started talking to people who were standing out in their yard or they're mowing the grass. Said, why don't we have metal roofs down here? And boy, the answers that came back, one is it's too stinking hot. It's just too hot. You have to just, I guess, insulate the heck out of them. In my case, I live under giant pecan trees. That would be a problem. We get a lot of rain. We're going to hear it nonstop. I mean,
Okay.
I just kept track. I said, okay, I'm going to go back to my old roof. And when the roof got ripped off during a hurricane, I just, replaced it with what I had, but with a black roof this time.
Mm. Well, two things. Since I mean, we're not totally different subject, but I would be I'd be a bad ambassador in my industry if I didn't say two things to what they're telling you. Those people are misinformed. A,
Really?
they're not more, they're not hotter. There actually will be, in many cases, less heat transfer into the house because all of the colors are cool colors, and so they're designed to reflect heat away from the building, not absorb it. You take an asphalt shingle, and I say this is all love for the asphalt world because I sell some products into that world too, but it collects that heat on a hot day and continues to distribute that heat into the building for our house or whatever the case may be for quite some time, even after it cools down. Metal by nature, and especially with the cool colors, will reflect the heat away. That's a misnomer. That's not really accurate. Secondarily, the noise. See, that comes from people that are used to metal being on ag buildings, right? Farm buildings out and yes, that's open. That's on an open purlin building. In other words, there's no attic, there's no insulation, there's nothing, no plywood or OSB or anything under the roof. So yes, it's just a hollow place with the hail and the rain hitting that, and yes, it can be so loud you can't hear. But in a
Yeah.
residential, Denise, you're installing everything the same way. The only thing is the last outside product, which is asphalt shingles or metal, it's being put over an underlayment, which is being put over a OSB or a plywood substrate or whatever the case may be. So at the end of the day, the sound deadening is there. Yeah, that's just for correction purposes only for the folks that are saying that are I'm not saying that they're wrong in what their experience has been, but their experience has probably been I was out of Billy's, you know, barn over on, Oak Street, and he's got a pole barn out back, and man, it was just so loud. I don't want that. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that would be loud because there's none of the substrate underneath it. So
Well, the next time a hurricane rips through here and takes my roof apart, I'm calling you.
you
So
call
I
me and we'll get
really
you.
do want that kind of roof. But I was actually thinking of they're just silver, they're not painted, and they turn to rust. And, in some old Cajun houses, that's pretty cool looking. And
Yeah.
I think that's what we were thinking about.
Well, the funny thing is for years, for years, we've in this industry always kind of trying to come up with better paint systems that last longer, 40-year warranties, 50-year warranties, and all those sort of things. And uh, and there's a whole industry out there. I have good friends out in the West Coast in the mountains that do a lot of work with a product called Core 10, which is a product designed to rust. It's designed to look like a rusted roof. And there's now even painted products and printed products that look like rusted old steel that you'd see in some mining building out in the middle of Wyoming, someplace on a hillside, right? But that's very popular now. People put that on multiple multi-million dollar homes because it's a cool look, right? Um, But yeah, and the old gal, but on your typical house with an unpainted, uh, they're much better galvanization now than they used to be. They use galvalume and some things, but yeah, paint the paint is going to be your barrier protection. But anyway, buy
And
metal next time. We'll wait for the next
yeah,
hurricane.
I will be. Come June, it starts up again
I know
pretty
it's not that far
soon.
away, man.
It's not
Yeah,
what 6 months out of the year. And
yeah.
I live literally, quite literally equidistant between Katrina and Rita. And I bought my
Mm.
house between those hurricanes. So I'm pretty familiar with hurricanes. Listen, let's go back to what you were talking about. And it's a personal hang on, personal differentiate. I can't talk today.
Wow.
Differentiation. Spell
Okay.
it's whatever that was.
You're assuming I'm smart enough to spell.
But basically, what you were just saying, no one can compete with you being you. And listen, I agree with that. Like, I'm a podcaster. If you were to ever meet me, you would meet the podcaster because I
Hmm.
don't ever bother to change. If I'm going to make boo-boos, I make them a lot. I just keep on rolling.
Yep.
And I apologize to the guest later.
Yeah, exactly.
Just- but,
Exactly.
but it's important to be you, and nobody can compete with you because you are you, you're unique. So why? And I see this a lot, Randy. Why do so many professionals still try to copy what everyone else is doing?
And I think it's a great question. I don't know that I have a good answer other than maybe lack of understanding who they really are, maybe a lack of confidence that who I am is okay. Um, Maybe, and a certain advantage of getting just a tad bit older outside of not getting dead is that I'm trying to think of a diplomatic way to say this, but I guess I can't. I just don't care. I do, but I don't.
You and me both. I'm me, and
I,
if you like me, great. If you
yeah,
don't, I really don't care. It's not
yeah.
my problem.
Exactly. At the end of the day, I'm going to be who I am, and if at the end of the and I think I'm a pretty okay guy. So if you just don't like me, and everything I have, everything I do still makes your life better, and you still just want buy from me because I just don't like Randy. Oh well, guess what? No salesperson in the world ever sells everybody. So I guess you just have to be one that I don't sell then. Um,
Right.
and
Right.
but I'm not going to change because see, here's the problem when you change. A, you fail because I'm not a highly trained actor, right? Tom Cruise could probably pull it off, right? I'm not Tom Cruise. I have no acting abilities to learn this new line quickly on the spot to realize you like something different, right? So I'd fail. And secondarily, to me, the biggest thing is and the beauty of hybrid is if you're out there all the time talking to people. I don't make cold calls on all these people. A lot of these people that you finally get a call or you find them and you end up going to meet them in person. If they've already seen you or read your stuff and listened to you for 1,000 times, they already know who I am.
Yeah,
They
they're
know
a
my
warm
personality.
market.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm walking in to meet a friend. They already. I may not know them, but they know me. The worst thing you can do in that case, Denise, is for me to walk in and they're going to themselves, is that really Randy? Holy shit. I mean, he's so different than he was on the podcast, so different than he was when he was talking to Denise. Uh, so different than when I saw him make a talk at an event. I didn't get a chance to meet him, but that's disingenuous, and that sounds so much like a lie that I would be turned off the point. I don't even want to talk to this guy because obviously he's not who he proclaims himself to be. So I think, and besides that, unless you're a trained actor or actress, I guess actor is the technical term they use nowadays, but either way, I'm not smart enough and good enough to try to be 15 different people. I mean, I hear 15 different people in my head, but I'm not good enough to do that. So you're just going to get what you get. Now, I'll
Same
turn.
here. And I can't be, Ben and I have talked about this on our podcast. We can't be bothered to lie because it's too hard to remember the darn things.
Well, exactly. I told people once. I said, I'm never going to lie to you. I said, it truly is because I want to be an ethical person. But I said, the real truth is I'm not smart enough to remember what I lied about. So I'll just tell you what the truth is, and then we're good. Um, but it is it's just not that hard to be you. But I think a lot of people have a hard time with that. They think there's one advice I would give to any young salesperson is it is okay to be you. and and use that as your superpower because you you just can't make up some persona. This is not a stage. This is not Hamilton in New York City, right? We're not making a movie here. This is real life every day. You got to repeat it 1,000 times a year. You can't repeat made up, but you can repeat.
No.
You're not even repeating when you're just being you. And
Well,
and,
and
and
that's exactly right. And people do come to expect you to be you, whether they're seeing you on a blog. I think you mentioned podcasts earlier. I think I was one of the first podcasts that you were on back in the COVID days.
Mhm,
And people know who I am because of my voice, and they also
right.
know that I'm going to stumble over words. I'm going to complain about my cold feet. I'm going to, they might hear me telling my two giant gingers who live on my desk, Hamilton, quit licking your brother's butt. I mean, this is who I am. This is how I show
Yep,
up. And it works for me because I don't have to remember a persona.
exactly.
I
Exactly.
wouldn't do it anyway. I just don't have the patience. I'm here. This is what you get. If you don't like it, move away. Keep on going.
Hmm. Well, I think a lot of that, Denise, comes from a confidence level too. If you're confident in what you're doing and you believe in your what you're doing, you believe in your product, whatever that
Right.
is, your service, whatever the case is, you believe you're the right person for them. Yeah, or I'll find out if I'm the right person. And I also believe that as we talk to each other as a salesperson and a buyer, if I don't think I'm the right person for you, I'm not afraid to tell you, you know what? I'll happily take your money, but I'm not sure that I can produce what you want.
Right. I do the
It,
same.
it's I just don't think this is going to work because what you want, I'll get an order today, and then you're going to be all kinds of mad and on, and I'm going to get frustrated, and we're all going to blow up at some point anyway. So let's back up just a little bit and make sure this is really right. So when you have that confidence level to do that, and I think the important thing, and I understand early on in a sales career is different, been there, but at some point you have to be willing to. Well, I said it earlier. Let me back up. You're never going to get every sale. Nobody sells everything. I mean, we all have competition. We're not going to get everything. But if you come at the fact that maybe if this doesn't work for both of us, it's just best we just don't do this. And that's a hard one to get to because the salespeople were trained either trained by sales training or maybe some bad sales training, but or just by commission breath, which many young
Yeah.
salespeople especially get right. Um,
Yeah.
it, I want to come into this as I don't have to have this sale. I'd like it. I think I want it. I think if it somewhat reasonably makes sense for both of us. But if it doesn't, then we have to back off. And so if you come into it from that standpoint, I think you come into it with a confidence level that look, we're just going to interview each other here, back and forth, and talk and chat and find out what your issues and your problems are. I'm going to tell you what I can do and can't do, and if this thing works, damn, I'd love to do some work with you. But
Right.
if it doesn't for either of us, maybe we're both better served. And I'll help. Maybe I'll help you find somebody if I
I
can, if I
do
know
the
somebody.
same. I do the same. I will often tell people whether they want to be a podcast guest or they need a website. Listen, I'm not your best fit, but can I refer you to
Mm-hmm.
someone? That way we don't leave mad.
Exactly. And we don't want, yeah, because the thing is that person today doesn't know today is just know today, right? It doesn't necessarily get, it's not an ironclad as know forever. And I think if you walk away from that scenario and you help them in that scenario, yeah, you lost that deal, whatever that deal is. But see, you've left yourself open as the professional that when the next opportunity comes out, who are they going to call? They're going to say, you know what, that Denise, man, she took care of me and she didn't lead me down the wrong road. And I'm really happy with where I'm at. But you know what? That's a trust level there, right? That's that know, like, trust and feel safe with that Ben talks about, right?
And
That's
that's where you pick up referrals and
exactly.
that you didn't even know. Like I've had people contact me and say, "Oh, so and so is talking about you and saying you're the best." I'm like, "Who is so and so?" I never worked with them, but they apparently liked what I had to
Yep,
chat with them about.
exactly. Exactly.
I
So,
wanted to go back to, sorry, Randy,
yeah, that's okay.
I I'm getting off track here just a little bit, and I wanted to ask you really about you talk about blending old school fundamentals with new school tools. So that leads me to kind of go back to true hybrid sales. What does that look like to you today? I know part of it is that you're preserving what works, what you used to do, and then what you've added to it. But what, I guess this is my real question, Randy. What traditional sales principles should we refuse, absolutely refuse, to abandon no matter how advanced technology becomes? Because you have really upped your technology skills.
Well, I fake it quite well. I swear a lot at it, but but no, I think that it's still personal. It's still personal. It's still one-on-one at the end of the day, and I feel that's across all spectrums. Probably, maybe, unless you're talking trillion-dollar government deals, sealed bids. Some of that, I suppose, is different. Maybe never done in that world, but I don't care if it's C to C or B to C or B to B. You're still dealing with a person. And so I think we have to never, ever, ever get rid of that personal aspect of it. We need to develop a relationship. And I think that's something we never abandon. I think the ethics we never abandon. I think the being and forward and honest and telling people what we do, we never abandon. It's really the difference between old school and new school, in my opinion. More than anything, Denise, the hybrid is how do I take what I do with you individually today and present that same uh, image, that same uh, value, if there is any, to hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands. How do I do that? Right. And you do that with the force multiplying effect of virtual and digital. Um,
And staying in touch. So many people, listen, during COVID, you and I talked about this. So many people, and I remember just watching people because I'm here in my office, my command center, and I'm always observing. And when people just started going, "Oh my God, what are we going to do now?" They
mhm,
disappeared. And that's about the time you and I started talking.
yes.
And I remember spending days going, finding companies, small companies, mid-sized companies that had just disappeared. And I would see people going, "Where are you? What's going on?" And I wrote a, a script that I sent to them. I said, "Listen, you don't know me. I'm not selling a thing. I'm a web developer and I'm watching what you're not doing. You need to get a page up right now that says, 'We're still here. You can
Right.
call us.'" And people they were so panicked, they didn't even think about it. So they just went quiet.
Yes.
That was about the stupidest thing I ever saw, I'll be honest with you. So I spent a lot of time just going, and some people would respond, but I'd go back and look, and there it was like, okay, they're listening. They don't need to respond to me. I don't need kudos for that. Just
Hmm.
let people know that you're still there. You're
Isn't
still
that
alive. Isn't that silly?
it is silly. It's like one of the, it made me think as you're telling that little story that excuse me, I had to cough there. That people, if business is slow, business is down, what are so many first thing people do in a lot of businesses? They stop advertising. They
They do.
stop.
They stop their marketing. They just
Yeah.
quiet, which is you
Okay.
should have something in the pipeline all the time.
Exactly. Because so think about this, and it's so silly to us to get it. Okay, I don't have any business right now, so I'm gonna stop telling anybody that I'm here and would like to do some business. Where in the world does that make any sense?
It doesn't.
Right? It's like you did all you did is expand your speed to gone, right? That's all you've done. Because if you're not getting much business, you're going to get way less business by not telling them you're here. And to disappear is like, I mean, I don't know. I'd buy cheaper toilet paper for the office or something if I had to, but don't supply free coffee. I don't know. I'd do something, but I'd find a way to put a damn ad out someplace, tell somebody what I'm doing. I'm here. If nothing
Yeah.
else, Denise,
Pick up the
I'm open.
phone. Pick
Call
up the
people.
phone.
Hey,
Right.
I haven't, we're still here. I know it's been a rough time. We don't know what's going on. We're on the same boat, but hey, what? We're still making pencils, and you probably need some pencils, and I'd like to sell you some pencils if you got them, right? If you need them, but instead we go. I'm not going to tell anybody I have pencils anymore. Actually, I'm going to let them think I don't do pencils anymore, right? And how's that work?
It's illogical, but
It
fear
is.
does that to you.
It does.
When you hit that barrier, and oh my God, my sales are down, or we're shut down. So many small restaurants shut down. That was heartbreaking.
Oh yeah.
But so many bigger businesses who have marketing departments, I would think, just went, and that's
Hmm.
where they stopped.
Well, I think a lot of it is we talk about thinking the old thinking out of the box thing, and I believe for years that I like to think that I go beyond thinking out of the box to at one point to beating the crap out of the box, right? To seeing no box at all, to finally seeing no cardboard to even make a box. I mean, that's the route that I went through in my thinking is too many times in situations, bad or good. We because I think we fail many times in opportunities because well I've never done that, so I'm not going to do that.
Right, right.
They
And so many people just say, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. So they sit and noodle on it. They think about it.
exactly.
That's the biggest mistake you can
It
make
is. It
there.
is. And there's three words, and it's all how you phrase it to yourself. Is so many times we say, "I can't do that." How about you put it into a question to yourself of why can't I do that?
I don't use the word can't. I think I've
Yep.
shared this with you. I will
It's
say I won't or I
yep.
don't, but I
Yep.
never use the word can't.
Yes, exactly. Because it's not that you can't, it's just you want or you're afraid or okay, fine. I get it all. But it still comes back to let's just look at it. Why don't we look at this opportunity? And if it doesn't make sense, that's fine. If you really look at it seriously and you know what, this just doesn't fit, whatever the reasons are. And I'm not saying there's wrong, there's reasons to not do things. Every new opportunity doesn't make sense for you to do. Probably 80% of them probably don't. But if you just discard all opportunities, what do you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater or whatever that old thing is, right? It's like, where was the great thing that you missed by just, well, this is a new, nope, not doing that. That's new. I'm not doing that. Nope, that's new. I'm not. Well, let's look at it and see why maybe that does make sense. If it doesn't, then we throw it out, right, and move on. But I think way too many times we get locked in our ways. We're not. We're not. I'll use the term hybrid thinking. We're not looking at what's the next step, what's the next opportunity, and I think more people are going to be forced to do that from this point forward, or you're going to lose. Is the world of digital, the world of virtual, the world of with all the stuff that's going on with AI, the ability to fall behind to a point that you can't catch back up has never been greater in history, in my
And
mind.
you're
I mean,
paralyzed. It just
yep,
paralyzes you.
yes.
And here we're talking, Randy, about visibility creates opportunity. And you often connect visibility, like you were just saying, directly to opportunity. So, how does being visible actually translate into revenue? For one, I'm going to lead with this. You're no longer invisible. I mean, you're out there, you're talking, you're podcasting, you're sharing with people. And I suspect, and I don't know this at all, but just knowing you and how you operate, I suspect that when you're actually face to face with some of your customers, you're actually showing them what you do, how you do it, and helping them do it on their own.
Oh, I try. Anytime anybody will listen, I chat about that. It's a subject that I enjoy, and I think it's important for them. A, I want them to be successful because I just like people. I become friends with a lot of my customers. And number two, you know, anybody that's listening that's in the supply end of the thing, um, your customer isn't going to buy more stuff from you, whatever your stuff is, unless they sell more stuff, right? I mean, it's a that sounds pretty simplistic, right? Geez, that makes sense, Randy. But I think a lot of people forget that. If you, as my customer, if y'all don't sell anything of mine, you're not going to rebuy from me. So
Right.
if I can help you sell more of my widgets, and so you're going to buy more widgets from me. And also, if I'm helping you do that, your loyalty to me to come back and continue to buy my widget instead of somebody else's widget that's 13 cents cheaper is greatly enhanced, right? You've built the loyalty, you've built the relationship, you've built that trust. And guess what, Ben? They feel safe with you now, right? So
Hmm.
I think it's hugely important to to develop those things. But back to the visibility, I'll give you a real quick story of how visibility matters, because you can't, you don't want to spend your whole life constantly searching, cold call, where can I find somebody, right? I mean, I remember, Denise, this really ages me, but I remember pulling into hotel rooms in the evening, and I was one of those people that did it. So anybody our age or my age that hated people that did it, I'm one of them. Sorry, but that would go in the yellow pages, and those are those big books with those yellow pages with print. In case anybody doesn't remember what those are,
Yeah, I've heard of those.
yeah, has all these listings of people. So I'd go down through there, builders, pole barn builders, frame builders, roofers, metal roofers, and I'd steal the pages. I'd tear them out of the books. Sorry, if I owe somebody for a book, I'll send you a check. But anyway, that was my lead generation at one time in my life. I mean, that's all I had. That's all I knew at the time, early on. Yeah, the
It
way
does that makes sense. And I have to tell you, if there is a book, a telephone book or a
I
Yellow Pages book in you're in a hotel or a motel, you're looking for a restaurant. You're not looking for pole barns.
Yeah,
So
exactly. That's
yeah,
true.
yeah, you
That's
can
true.
take that guilt away. I
And
give
okay,
you
I feel
permission.
better. The other
Yeah.
thing and I know this has nothing to do with this, but the other thing I used to do is, I have a reasonably unique last name. It's not like there's millions of us. I would look in there to see if there's anybody with my same last name. I never called them. I just was interesting if I'm in outside of some small town in a Buffalo, New York area. Oh my God, there's 7 Chaffees in here. Wow, look at that. Who knew? Yeah, I don't know. It was like I didn't have a lot to do then. So, but anyway, but so we've give you an idea of something where visibility really helps. I don't want to be looking for every opportunity. I have a lot of things I do that I'm good at and like to do and want to do, and just continually looking for that next opportunity is what I do it. You have to do it. It's a big part of what we do. Prospecting's huge, but when I'm doing the things that we've talked about that we do, there's 2 things that happen to that, Denise. One is with the visibility. It puts me in front of people where they come up. I've had many a times where they've come up in an event, a trade show, and said, hey, excuse me, hey, I know you don't know me. I wanted to introduce myself, but I follow your stuff on LinkedIn, or I see your podcast, or I do this, or I read a couple of your articles in some of the magazines. Um, and I just wanted to introduce myself. You can't even put it. I don't know. There's no number you can put on that for
No,
value.
that's gold. That's absolute
That's gold.
gold.
And so, but the flip side of that then is, what about customers that I'm already doing business with? You buy on emotion, right? Typically, even in the business world, there's some emotion involved in buying, but you always substantiate that afterwards. You've got to substantiate, did I make the right decision to buy from Randy? Well, if they see me doing these things, it creates a credibility that, yeah, I did go with the right dude. This guy sort of knows something. He's been around. He knows everybody. So there's both sides to that, right? Not just getting business, but substantiating in your existing customer's mind. Yeah, this is why I deal with this dude. This guy's kind of on the inside track of the industry, knows people, knows what he's talking about. So I think you fit both sides of that. But a real brief story about how visibility works. 3, 4, 5 years ago, went to a trade show, or a distributor show, buying show. I walk in, going down an escalator. Somebody's group of guys are going up an escalator, and this guy yells, "Hey, Randy!" I go, wave at it. "Hey, how you doing?" He says, "Good." And that was about it, right? Escalators bypassing like 2 rail cars in the night, right? And but I heard him as he got up. He says, "That's Randy Chaffee." So I follow his LinkedIn and some of his videos. I really then all he was gone, right? I'm thinking, wow, that's cool. I don't even know who this guy is. Next day, I'm on the show floor, and I see him. He sees me, and we wave, we walk over and shake hands, and he introduces himself. He was the brand new head of sales for that company. So,
But he knew you.
but he already knew me before I even met him.
Right.
That now, does that happen every day? Well, who knows? If you do it often enough, you don't know what kind of things like that are happening, right? But my point is, I didn't have to do a whole lot of razzle dazzle dazzle of who's Randy and what's Randy do. He already knows what Randy does because he's been following what I do, right? So my only point is that's where visibility equals opportunities a lot. And it does. I don't think you want to ever. I want to go back to this because I think it's important, Denise. It equally supports the people that already made a buying decision. And I'm a B2B guy, so I'm a repeat business guy, hopefully, if I do my job right and everybody does what they're supposed to. I want them to go, again, it's important, I think. This is why I like to stay with Randy. So you got to substantiate that because there's always that buyer's remorse with anything, right? And usually in B2B repeat business, maybe not as much as, you know, buying in home or whatever the case may be, but there's still, did I make the right decision? Did I go with the right guy? Because I kind of like this other guy too, right? His product was pretty good too. So you want to continue to substantiate, uh, why you're there and what you're doing. And yeah, I think I made the right choice. So that's where the visibility equals opportunity comes into play. It's huge. You got to get over the hump of being okay with being a shameless self promoter. It just is what it is, and some people
It
don't
is.
like it. Um, I don't mind it, and I say I don't mind it now. If you knew me in high school, you'd have never thought that I'd do anything that I do because I was like didn't want to leave home, But
No, you're talking to a
oh,
highly
I know.
committed introvert.
I said that because I knew you'd say something because we've talked
Yeah.
many a times. I know you don't like to go. You don't like to go to the grocery store, so
I don't open the door. If you weren't invited or I wasn't expecting you, you can knock all day long. I'm not
yep.
opening the door.
It's funny.
But and I wanted to ask you too, because we're talking about people. You do need to be visible. Look,
Mhm.
there are no pictures of me on the internet. There never have been. There never will be. My house on Google is blurred out. My privacy is important to me. So I really am an introvert. You wouldn't know it if you met me. You wouldn't have a clue because I'm not shy and I don't have any filters, but people can get very uncomfortable doing what you do, doing what I do because they've never done it before. So for someone who says, I'm uncomfortable putting myself out there, you've said a lot, but how would you sum up? Just do it. Get out there. People need to see you, know you, like you, trust you.
They do. Here's what I'd say with that. Uh, when you're a teenage boy and there's this girl that you're just really interested in, right? She's cute. Man, I'd like to know her. And you that first reach out to hold her hand, you're scared to death, aren't you? What if she pulls away? What if I scratch her? Oh, there's always
What if
these.
your hands are sweaty?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what? Once you do and she grabs it, you're walking down and she's smiling, you're smiling. You know what? You'll be holding hands all day, every day for the rest of your life with them, right?
All
But
right.
there's always going to be the first time with everything you do that's going to be uncomfortable. And we've said it before. Everybody's said it. It's almost, I hate to say it because it's so well used, but you really do need to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I know that's an overused statement, but I think it's accurate. It's just, and at some point you'll get to a point where, uh, you know, after you do enough of things, somebody could call me now and say, "Yeah, I'll be done in about 13 minutes. I could jump on with you." And what's the subject? I don't care. Whatever you want to talk about, that's fine. You'll get to a level where you're just very comfortable. Um, but yeah, I understand. I wasn't comfortable. I remember when I first decided to do this podcast, I got with Wes Wyatt, and I knew I needed a producer director. See, that's one thing. I knew I needed somebody that could do all the stuff behind the scenes because I'm not smart enough to do all that, and didn't want
There's
to
a
go
lot
that.
of work,
It
trust
is a
me.
lot of work,
Anybody
and
who says, I'm going to be a podcaster, you better get really studious about it. You
exactly,
better
and
learn your craft. You better learn what the back end is doing
yep,
because you're not going to be a podcaster. You're going to be a very frustrated talker.
yeah, exactly. And nobody does it better than you, by the way. I'll give you your props there. You're the
Thank you.
best. You are the best. But I knew I needed somebody. But I remember we was putting this together, and he's putting the peripherals together and all these things, right? And I'm getting a little nervous. I'll be honest, because it's like a couple weeks from go time. And I said, "Well, Wes, we was going to do it January, the first Friday, Tuesday in January of whatever year that was." And I remember calling Wes. I said, "Hey, Wes." I know you got a lot to do yet. Why don't you, we could push this off a couple of weeks so you got time to, he said, no, it's cast in stone. I'm putting it out today.
Got a
That's the
schedule.
day we're doing it. That's when we're doing it because he recognized the backpedaling, right? I'll give it another week or two. That was not about him being prepared. It was all about I was just afraid to do it, right?
Right, right. And I see that a lot.
Yep. Just do it.
Just
it
do it. I wanted to ask you, I want you to give our audience some advice.
yes.
What are a few practical ways that sales professionals who, maybe they're B2B, maybe they're, like you said, P2P, person to person or face to face, what can they do to increase their visibility without feeling forced or artificial or frankly downright silly? People feel silly. I've had people come on my podcast and listen to me, so I was so nervous about this. Why? We're just chatting.
Yes. Yes. Well, I think if you understand, and again, correct me because if you disagree, but my take is, there's a lot of code words we use, but raw, organic, authentic is
Mm-hmm.
key, right? This is not a Hollywood production. Matter of fact, people don't want Hollywood production. They want to see two people having a chat. And so I tell people, just think about it that we're sitting in a trade show someplace at the local cigar bar and having a Dr. Pepper and a cigar. And we're just talking the industry. That's it. You and me, 30, 40 minutes chatting about the industry. That's all it is. Yeah. But the key is to remember, they're not listening to you, Joe, because you're some celeb person, because you're not. They're listening to you because you have some little story to tell about your industry, about your life, about your whatever that story is that may be beneficial to the listener. So just tell your story and tell it the way
People
you tell
want
it.
stories.
They want
And you're
stories.
exactly right. And I will tell people all the time, just tell me your story. That's
Yep.
what I'm interested in. And if that's what I'm interested in, so is the audience and so are your clients. I mean, you don't want to bore them to death about what little Billy Bob did at the barbecue. Don't do
Right.
that. But
Right.
there's people do want to get to know you. And I wanted to ask you too, because I mean, you talk about trade shows. I know your next book with
Mm-hmm.
Ben Gay the Third. We're both writing books with Ben
Yes, we
Gay the
are.
Third for the closers, and yours is going to be about trade shows. And I remember asking Ben because he was all excited. He was telling me about it, and I said, "Trade shows, really?" It never occurred to me that that is a huge part of sales. How we get, like I used to go to trade shows. I was a jeweler by trade. I would have to go to Dallas and try not to get ripped off by people selling gemstones because
Mm-hmm.
that's what they're there for. And I went, oh, and I went back to those days and went, oh, I get it. So let's
Yep.
talk about trade shows because I think that's important too.
They are, and trade shows, and I feel like I've heard Ben say this, but if not, he can claim it. They're a gold mine if done right. And so what I'm going to talk about, because it's a pet peeve of mine, is that so many people idea, whether you're an attendee or an exhibitor, and I'm writing this book basically coming from both sides of the aisle. I'm going to write it each chapter. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to switch gears as an exhibitor, as an attendee, because there's a lot of crossover, right? But then we're going to separate the two. But I think it's key that you treat it as the relatively expensive marketing, branding, advertising opportunity that it really is. You should not, so many people show up in Dallas for a trade show that starts on Tuesday at 1 and they arrive at Tuesday at 11, throw their stuff in their room, grab a burger and a beer. Well, I guess we ought to go work the show, I guess. Well, you've already lost, man. I mean, you, you got no plan. I run an 80-20, and I'm going to talk about this in the book, an 80-20 rule, which I think works in everything. It's a weird mathematical thing, but it almost works in everything. I want my calendar 80% full before I go to the show. My calendar's been 80% full for 2 weeks now before a show I've got in Oklahoma City late February. And there's reason for that is because I leave 20% for that unexpected opportunity that just pops up, right? I don't want to like not talk to you because I'm so booked, so tight that I literally can't talk to you. So I leave some space for that. But if you don't have that if you don't show up at the show on a wave, on a tsunami that you created, like I'm coming to town, I'm going to be to town, I'm going to work this show. And so many people miss so many things in a trade show. Like, well, the show hours are from noon to 5, because most trade shows, at least in my industry, are relatively short each day. There's educationals in the mornings. There's the event sponsored on and off the venue. The real value of a trade show to a rep, and I use rep interchangeably with any kind of salesperson. I'm an independent rep, but whatever you're doing, I use rep interchangeably. If if you aren't working that complete show from 6 in the morning till 2 in the morning, then you're making a mistake and you're wasting time. You're wasting money, because you should be at the coffee shop. You should be at those educationals. If you're asked to present too, I love presenting at events. But if you're not, A, you might learn something, but B, visibility equals opportunity. You're there. You're outside where all these people are having their little continental breakfast. You're seeing people you know. You're seeing people you don't know. You're saying, oh, hey, you're from New York State. I represent New York. What do you guys do? So many opportunities there to meet people, to set up meetings. Hey, why don't you come by the booth? Hey, how about I meet you in the lobby at 2 and I'll take you over and meet? All those things you can do. But you got to let people know you're going to be there. Hit the host hotel show bars. I don't care if you drink or not. You do what you want. It's irrelevant. That's where everybody goes after the show. Don't take off site to go have a burger with your buddy. Wrong time, wrong place. You see them every day. Go where the potential customers are and your existing customers. So I talk a lot about, I mean, full detail, way more than what I've just said. But there's an art, I feel, and a science both to working trade shows. And don't rely on what your manufacturers do or your suppliers do. A lot of them do great jobs, but you got to take personal responsibility for your own calendar, your own schedule, and make sure that you're getting use out of that time with these people on the show floor, but off the show floor. I like to go trolling at show floors. I talk a whole chapter about trolling. Just stand in the booth and, hi, my name is Randy. Would you like a piece of candy? Could I shoot you bad? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, you can hire a $12 an hour amount today, maybe 20, but college kid to stand there and do that. I mean, big deal. So really engage and be there and have a reason to be there. And way too many people, and I talk about it, Denise, on the attendee side, they do the same thing. Well, I didn't really find anything that showed that interesting. That was really any value. Well, did you plan the show out? Did you
Yeah.
highlight the
What are
people you
you
want to
looking
see?
for? Right.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, Randy, before I forget, and we are going to run out of
Yep.
time quickly, but when you go to these things, do you see some of your own customers there kind of scoping out what's new, what's out there?
Oh, of course you
If
do.
not, they
They
should be
should
there,
be.
I would think.
Yes, you see, it's a great opportunity to glad hand and thank. Spend a couple times, grab a quick Mountain Dew off the show floor or whatever the case may be, right? With existing customers that are customer friends. But it's a great time to grab a guy and say, "Hey, you got 5 minutes? Let me take you over to my booth here because I know and introduce you to." Our VP of sales should be there. Let me just introduce you real quick. Or if you have existing customers that buy a bunch from you, I have 5, 6 booths at some of these shows. Let me introduce you to the director of sales for this manufacturer. They love to be recognized by the higher ups, right? They know I appreciate their business because I get paid to sell them, right? I want them to see and be recognized by upper management for one of my manufacturers. It makes the customer feel good. It also helps that if there becomes an issue, I'm much more likely to get the help of that upper management person if they've met Bill, right? You remember you met Bill last year at the trade? Oh, yeah, yeah. Nice guy. Say, well, we got a little problem. Can you help me out? Personalities, person to person always works. And if they know them and you've introduced them, you just are always going to have a better shot of resolving issues. But yeah, I half my show spent with existing customers. You never want to forget that too many people get wrapped up in prospecting and forget about taking care of the existing people. If I got one parting words on that, if I've got 5 minutes and people are, would you spend it prospecting or would you spend it on taking care of an existing customer? Zero op, take care of the existing customer all day long. And that doesn't mean prospecting is not important because it's a lifeblood, but the existing customer is already my guy. He's already my person. We've already done the song and dance for 4 years to get to this point. The prospect may be a prospect if you're lucky. They might be just simply a suspect. And so I'm going to waste time. Now I won't say waste, but spend valuable time if I've only got limited time with that person that may or may not ever come to fruition, and then force my good customer away because I didn't take care of them.
Right. I've known you a while, Randy, and I'm listening to you very carefully. I'm taking a lot of notes. And anybody who's actually listening to what Randy is saying is probably picking up what I picked up a long time ago, that a good sales professional, no matter what it is that you're selling, it's a service, it could be a widget, it could be anything, they're approaching you with compassion and with empathy. It's
Yep,
not all about go, 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 buy, buy, buy.
exactly. Exactly. It really is, it's again an old axiom too, but it really is building win-wins. It really is. It has to be. If it's not, if we don't win on this deal, both of us, I'm going to stop selling you at some point as a supplier. If I don't have some win here, and if you don't have some win as a customer, you're just going to stop buying from me, right? So it has to be. And when you build those relationships, you don't have that many conflicts because you're able to go back to them and maybe I can do this for you this time. But when you build the relationship, you can go back and say, dude, okay, you're asking for too much on this one, right? I can't do that. But here's what I can do for you. But see, when you build those relationships, no, like trust and feel safe, right? I can go back now to somebody when you build the relationship, say, yeah, that's a no. I mean, come on, we can't do that. And if you build those relationships, you can have those conversations, right? And so I think that's where these shows cement some of that too. Is you're able to do it on a neutral site, which I like. I'm not in your office. It's not a sales call where there's, even if you're good friends and been doing it forever, at the end of the day, you both know it's a sales call, right? As good of friends as we are, I'm the sales guy and you're the buyer, and you need to buy some stuff and I want to sell some stuff. So there's still that there a little bit. At a show floor, we're a neutral site. The host hotel bar is a neutral site. We're just buddies in the industry that happen to do business together, right? And there's nothing gets better than those kind of things. And my parting words on that is, man, if you use those the events, all the things that goes on around a trade show, you get introduced to people, you get referrals. I've got probably 5 guys in a show come up in a week and a half that I'm going to introduce to people that's asked me, would you introduce me to this person? Absolutely. See, and I've asked people to do that for me. Or Denise, you can take the opposite approach, which is you can spend thousands of dollars of your company's money, maybe thousands of dollars of your own money if you're a rep like I am, and show up and go, oh crap, I guess I should leave the bar now. The show opened like 20 minutes ago. I guess I should probably wander over and kind of hang out in the booth, I guess, and look good, but pretty for a while. If
Yeah,
that's
so
what
at that point, you're really hiding behind a logo, aren't you?
exactly, exactly. It should be relationship 101 all day, and they're long days, and you ought to be prepared for it. The show, and one of the things I just got into writing this part of the book, and I need to shut up here, but when does the show start? The show starts as soon as it's announced. Like like
Right.
like Opal.
You get prepared way before
Exactly.
you open that door.
One thing I do, and I'll leave it at this. Next week or 2 week and a half, I'll be at a show. I happen to be on the board of directors too, so I got a big week. So a lot of fun stuff I love. But we always have a lot of shows do. Welcome to the 2026 event, Oklahoma City, blah, blah, blah. I always take a picture and a couple videos by it, right? Talk about being here. Let's rock and roll. Last thing I always do is most shows will have next year, don't miss next year in Columbus, Ohio on these dates, right? I always take a video of that because that's the last parting thing you're going to see about from me is show's over. Great time. We're already on the next year already.
See you next time.
That
Exactly.
and that's when it starts. That's when it starts.
Right.
If it's a year out, it starts a year out. And anyways, that's so I'm excited. I'm excited for your book too on it. Yeah, you I can't wait to read it. I hope I get to be one of the first like
Oh,
10,000 people
you
that
are.
reads it.
In fact, I'm going to send you early copy so you can, review it and tell
Love
me
it.
what you think. Listen, if anyone listening, someone listening today wants to improve their effectiveness this week, what's one step they should take right now, today?
Today, pick up the phone and call two people because I'm gonna simplify this. Pick up the phone and call two people because we don't do enough of that. Call one person that's a prospect or a suspect, and we all know the difference, right? If not, we can you can explain it as well as I can, but call them, check in, and call one person that uh, is a great customer friend. If nothing else, don't call them and ask for more business. Call them and thank them for the business you had, thank them for the trust, and just reach out and make a relationship strong, strengthen the relationship with them. And secondarily, with that is all the stuff we talked about for over an hour. You don't have to do all the stuff that Denise and I do. You don't have to just do a quarter of it, but do something and get started
And
because
do it well.
and do it well and do it honest, do it ethically, and just be you because whoever you are, I am damn good at what I do. I'm damn good at being me, but I would die in the vine trying to be you, right? So just be you and
Exactly.
go be you every day and do it often and do it visible and don't be afraid because I will say this. I said this to a group a while back. I talked with the used to be the day websites they couldn't find any of the website you didn't exist. That goes without saying now. But if they can't find you on social media today, for the most part, there's caveats to all this. I understand. I never make anything as a as all inclusive. But if they can't find you, you don't exist.
Yeah,
They
you're
better find
invisible.
you. You're invisible, and we want to be visible. So and so just go. You don't have to spend billions of dollars. Take your iPhone that's sitting there on your desk and shoot a quick video at the job site or sitting behind your desk or walking through your warehouse, talking about what you do, the love for the business, whatever it is. Just get it out to let people get to know who you are.
Randy, I really appreciate you being here with me today, and it's always good to chat with you and share your sales wisdom. Where can people connect with you?
Well, you can go to ibuyfromrandy.com, which why wouldn't you? I always say that. I don't know, it's quite funny. But ibuyfromrandy.com. You can find me there completely. I'm all over any social media. It's all under my name, either or some derivative thereof, like Randy Chaffee the rep or Randy Chaffee. But if you type in Randy Chaffee on LinkedIn, Facebook, Reels, TikTok, wherever, you'll find me. And I'd love to connect with people. I love to connect with people and chat. And they can also find, you know me, Mr. Shameless Self Promoter. You talked about my book. It is available on Amazon, hard, soft, or ebook. Asphalt and Algorithms. It's also available on my website, ibuyfromandy.com. So if you go there, same price. I will. You can order it there and pay for it there, and I'll sign a copy and send it to you. So if you want a signed copy, which makes it then worth zero, of course, but still, if you want a signed copy, uh, go to my website and I'll fire a book out and sign it to you, and or you can get it on Amazon. So that's
Excellent. Thank you. Well, listen, Randy, what I love about this conversation is the reminder that no matter how sophisticated the tools become, and with AI, they are becoming massively, massive, whatever word I was going to say there.
that's a big word though.
I, shut up. You cannot be mean to me. We're friends,
Oh,
darn
that's right.
it. But
I forgot for a minute.
however sophisticated the tools become, sales is still about people, like Randy says, P2P,
Yep.
people to people. And technology can amplify you, but it cannot replace you. So don't even try. The hybrid professional understands that old school fundamentals like trust, relationships, empathy, and listening are not outdated, and they never will be. They are foundational. So when you combine those with smart visibility, as Randy has done, and modern platforms, and just, I'm going to say it again, visibility, write that down in capital letters. Opportunity follows. And here's the real takeaway. No one can compete with you at being you. We've talked quite a bit about that today. Your experience, hang on a second. I'm trying not to cough on you. Your experience, your voice, and your perspective, your way of connecting, that's you. That's the advantage. The more visible you are in an authentic way, the more doors open to you. And some you're not going to even see them coming. It's just all of a sudden somebody is saying, "Hey, Randy." And there you are. So here's my challenge to you, to our audience. Choose one action today from today's conversation and implement it this week. Like Randy said, pick up the phone. Reach out, follow up, post something meaningful, have a real conversation, and increase your visibility with intention. So, to our audience, if this episode sparked ideas for you, share it. Send it to a colleague, post it on LinkedIn. And if you're not already subscribed to your Partner in Success Radio, make sure you are so you never miss these conversations. Randy, thank you for being with me here today. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me, Denise. It's always a pleasure. And, I think it's about time we get you back on Building Wins. So we'll work on that too. So, but love chatting with you.
Yeah.
Love your message. Keep up
Thank
the
you.
great work.
Get your voice heard. If you would like to launch your own far-reaching podcast, contact Denise Griffitts at yourofficeontheweb.com and go to the podcast tab.